Welcome to the Biscuit Book Club on Joy 620 WRJZ, featuring Marcy and Shelley. Today, conversation will build you up in the faith and encourage you to do what God has called you to do. Brought to you by Simplify Hauling. And now, let's go to the studio with Marcy.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us again for the Biscuit Book Club. And Shelley, thanks for joining me here in the kitchen. I'm so excited that we have another beautiful Saturday to talk about things we love, biscuits and books. And you know what? We're adding another B. We're adding Bill. Bill Myers is going to be joining us today. And I am so excited. We're going to be giving him a call. He is somebody that our kids have been reading his books for years. He did the McGee and Me series, and that just put him on the map. It has sold like gangbusters, 4.5 million copies over 80 countries. Wow. That is a lot of copies. And then he followed that up with the Wally McDougall My Life As series, and that's over 2 million. He's done voiceovers for Focus on the Family, and he's won 60 different awards. I'm not sure if I would want to know that those were all legitimate, but I know for sure the C.S. Lewis Honor Award is definitely a great one. Bill has been encouraging people and audiences around the globe for a very long time. And you know what? Let's give him a call because we are super thankful he's here.
Yes.
Hello.
Hey, Bill. It's Marcy and Shelley, and we just wanted to talk to you today. You are on the Biscuit Book Club radio show. We just want to share with everybody all the joy that you have brought us, because Shelley and I actually, just to let you know, we were paying attention when you keynoted at the Vision Christian Writers Conference.
Thank you.
Oh, that's good. Hi, Shelley.
Welcome.
So,
thanks. It's good to be here. Where are you guys located?
So I'm in Knoxville. So I'm from California, but we have now reestablished ourselves. We are living and putting down roots here in Knoxville. And Shelley is...
And I am from the South and living in Alaska.
Okay.
So we've kind of it's kind of funny, our paths have definitely crossed, but we are the one thing that brings us together is the love of books and the fact that we met also at the Vision Writers Conference, and that's where we just heard you, Bill, talk about putting your yes out there, and I love that so much. And then when we had the opportunity to do a radio show, we were like, what would Bill say? Like, WWBD, what would Bill do? And we know that putting your yes out there is something that you basically built your whole career on. So we just wanted you to be able to share that a little bit with our audience.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I had my life all, planned out as a 17-year-old boy does. I knew everything, and I was going to be a dentist. And I made that really clear. And but I was so bored with Christianity. It's like, hey, love you, God, but you're kind of boring. And a friend of mine said, well, you know what your problem is, Myers, is you're only part of a Christian. I said, well, what does that mean? And he says, you get the part about Jesus dying for you, and that's great, but the part about him being your boss is sort of not, it's not happening. I said, well, I don't go around and kill and rob and steal. And he said, no. He said, I'll make you a bet. He said, I'll bet you if you promise always to say yes to God. Always. Regardless of how unqualified you are, regardless of how you're sure he doesn't know what he's doing, if you promise to say yes, your life will be anything but boring. Well, I had nothing else better to do, so so I made that promise to the Lord, and nothing happened for about 6 weeks. And then I'm sitting watching the fourth movie of my life. I grew up in the mountains of Washington State, didn't get out much, and I'd seen Pollyanna, I'd seen The Parent Trap, and I'd seen Pinocchio. Now I'm sitting in the fourth movie of my life watching The Godfather. And I'm seeing blood spurting and people dying, and my peers in the theater, now I'm at the University of Washington, standing up and cheering when people are getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
And I just walked out of that theater numb, telling God, again, being a young man, knowing everything, saying, God, there's so much power in storytelling and movies. And you know what you need to do, and thanks for asking, what you need to do is raise up people to do these movie things. And every time I told him what he had to do, it bounced back at me. So after about 6 weeks of arguing, I finally said, okay, fine, I'll be one of those movie CEO, whatever they're called, and changed my direction to filmmaking. Didn't even know how to watch a movie, let alone make one. No film school in the country would take me because I knew nothing. The only school that would take me was in Rome, Italy. So now I'm studying a subject I know nothing about in a language I can't speak. That's when it started to dawn on me. This God business of saying yes is anything but boring. And that's been pretty much the way it's been my whole life. It's usually unqualified. I work really hard to try to be qualified once I get there. But just saying yes after I check with him and just stumbling into these incredible situations that I have no business being in.
Well, and then were you somebody who was strong in English?
You know the story, don't you? No. That's another one. That's another one of God's little practical jokes. No, the speech center of my brain isn't wired properly. I was pretty old as a kid before I ever spoke. So, I'm in Rome, Italy, studying a subject I know nothing about in a language I couldn't speak. And I was there for a year. I was the class joke. I had no idea what was going on, but it didn't seem to matter. And then I went back to Washington, got married, moved down to Los Angeles to become a rich and famous film director. Discovered they already had plenty of those. They didn't need any more. Thanks for playing. And proceeded to starve. We really didn't starve. We just became experts at eating top ramen and macaroni and cheese. And I was directing a play for free in L.A., and a TV producer came up to me and said, would you like to write for our TV show? And I got C's and D's in my only writing class in college, so I knew that was not in the cards. But I asked him, do you pay? He said, yes. I said, sure. Went home, broke into tears, going, come on, God, this is really ridiculous, and wrote the world's worst TV show. When they showed it, I was so bad I threw a shoe at the TV set because it was my own work, but it was awful. And by the grace of God, it's out of syndication and nobody will ever see it. And you'll ask what it is, and I'll tell you next question, and we'll move on. And then it gets even crazier. An uninformed publisher back east heard that there was a famous Christian TV writer living in Hollywood, and if I could just take time from my busy schedule of starving, would I write a book for them? I asked them if they paid. They said yes. I hung up the phone. I broke into tears going, now what are you up to? And wrote one of the world's worst books. So that's how it started and how it continues. Usually being way over my head. You mentioned McGee and me, the same thing. The same thing happened there. I get a call from another uninformed human being who says, Mr. Myers, we're inviting 18 of the most creative Christians in the country to the Ritz-Carlton, and we're going to create a children's TV show. And are you interested? I asked, do you pay? They said yes. I said sure. And I showed up, and he was right. There were 17 of the most creative Christians in the country. There was, some guy holding a court that had been working with Happy Days, and another guy on the other side was working with Amy Grant. And I'm trying to fit in, and it's just I have an Amy Grant cassette. Oh, that's very nice, Bill. So, and I went up to my room again, just my heart broken, saying, Lord, I can't. I know I promise always to say yes to you, but this, no offense, but you're way over your head on this one. I got this one lame idea about a kid with a cartoon friend. I'll share it with the group tomorrow and make up some excuse and say I have to go home early, okay? Because we're supposed to be there all weekend. I said, okay, Lord? And I got nothing, so I figured that was the same as yes. Yeah, right. And I showed up, and I said, well, there's this kid with a cartoon friend. Hey, look, there's an emergency. Oh, yes, Bill, but tell us more about this. I got nothing. Tell us about the boy. He lives in a house. Oh, a house. Now I'm going to get creative. A big house. Oh, big. Guys, I got to go. Yeah, right, Bill. But tell us I'm making this stuff up as I'm going along. And after 3 days of this torture, the guy with the big money sends everybody home. And he says, but Bill, will you stay after? I figured, great, he's going to make me pay for my hotel room because I've been such a slug. And he says, well, Bill, it's become clear to us that you're the man God has called to quarterback this new series. And having done some acting, I was able to say, well, yes, of course, that makes all the sense. But inside, I'm going, God, what? Come on. What? Welcome to the life of Bill Myers.
I do have to say, our kids were really impacted. I mean, that really actually helped me in parenting young children, to be able to watch McGee and me and have them interact with the one, especially when he went to the movies with his friend. Even as an adult, my daughter said, Mom, that really impacted me, just because there's nothing you could have said, but to have it come from, McGee and me really did kind of impact me. And I have to say, I love, I had also bought in the Elijah Project books for one of our sons, and he loved those. And I just really love that you have really poured into the hearts of especially children, for, garbage in, garbage out. Like you have given them not garbage, but you have put good things in and then good things out. And so I just really appreciate as a parent, just being able to know that if I buy a Bill Myers book, it is going to be edifying and something that will be nourishing for them.
Oh, well, thank you. You mentioned the garbage in, garbage out. You just heard my story, so you know where that one came from, as far as, watching movies and the impact they have on people.
Yes.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And believe me, for me, I'm just as grateful getting to tag along with wherever the Lord is leading me. Once I'm done whining and complaining.
I recently saw an interview with you, and you were talking about Rendezvous with God, the series that you just had started. And one of the things that I think is so important for writers, and we had a guest just on who talked about this a little bit too, was the power of story is not always how many you sell, but the impact it has on the writer's life. And so can you talk a little bit about how writing has impacted your life?
It's particularly this Rendezvous with God series. I've published about 120 books, but this series, I wanted to try something different. So instead of, spending time with the Lord in the morning, okay, now we're set. Okay, thanks, God, I'll see you again tomorrow morning. I tried bringing him into the writing process, and it was just remarkable time. It was like praying as I was writing. Now, of course we pray when we're in trouble, but for me it was a conversation. Writing the whole series was just sitting down, pretending Jesus is sitting there across the room and just having these conversations with him. And the stuff that would bubble up in my head when I'm saying, I purposely write myself into a corner and go, okay, any suggestions? And the stuff that would bubble up was remarkable. And so for me now, writing has really become a thing of exploration, of exploring parts of God and, falling more deeply in love with him. Before, with the children's stuff, and I'm still writing children's stuff, it's more teaching. But with the grown-up stuff, it's exploring. It's okay, Jesus, what exactly did you mean by this, and what are you doing now? Mm. The series is about a agnostic who Jesus keeps popping up into his life, which kind of ruins his theology a little bit, the guy's theology. And once in a while, Jesus takes him back into a New Testament situation, and they examine something. And our hero is a bit of a slow learner. I think it's autobiographical. and Jesus just patiently and with a lot of humor teaches our hero what is truth and what isn't. So, long answer to a short question. I love that series because, for me, it's 6 volumes of talking with God.
And then, Shelley, do you have something you want to ask Bill?
Yes. You write for children and you work with a lot of adults, and your message really spoke to me as well. And I've talked to other people at the conference, and it has been the same for them, just saying yes. What advice do you have to people that are just breaking into the industry of, how to work in the publishing world, and keep your integrity and keep that your Christian walk with God?
That's a good question. I always find out when I give the Lord an agenda. When I say, Lord, is it A or is it B? Most of the time he says, well, no, Bill, it's oranges. What? I don't even know the right questions to ask. And we see the disciples doing that. They give me great encouragement because, if he can love them, he can love me. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess it's basically spending the time seeking what he wants you to do, and then setting out and doing it, and probably having it wrong, but at least he's got you pointed in the right direction. And you just keep persevering and persevering and persevering until the roadblocks are so obvious. Then you just keep seeking. So it's sort of it's a guiding process, but he doesn't tell us immediately. But by all means, seek God. If I had not spent that time seeking God or agreeing to do what he wants, I'd be inside Marcy's mouth right now with sharp objects drilling away as a dentist.
No, I floss.
I love that.
and that would do nobody good.
Yeah.
So I would, so in answer to your question, Shelley, I would say, spend the time seeking God, and then do the best you can, and figure maybe you don't have it right, but you keep doing that until he redirects you. Because if you're a moving object, it's a lot easier to direct a moving object than just one that's sitting there waiting for a bush to start burning in front of you.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned directing, and that is something also that you're doing. And tell me about the movie that you've been working on.
Well, we've got one right now. I'm not directing this now.
Okay.
I'm producing these because
that's how much I don't know.
Well, no, it's a lot easier to produce than to direct. I might point. I can whine over what somebody's doing a lot easier than having to do it. We have Billy Dixon is working. He's a great director and a friend of mine who's doing. He did one of my children's books as a feature film. I think it's on the streamers, called Secret Agent Dingledorf and His Trusty Dog Splat. And we had such a good relationship that he's now in Atlanta directing a film that we hope will be out around Thanksgiving called Devoted Heart. And it's the retelling of the Nativity as if it were to happen today, told from Joseph's point of view. So, Joe gets back from Afghanistan, discovers Mary's pregnant, Joe's been out of the country 11 months, so this is a little awkward. And just the struggles that he has as he's trying to understand what's going on. But it's the whole nativity story, told as if it happened today.
Wow.
And when I wrote that, I wrote it because I was getting tired of seeing all the tinsel and glitter around the nativity, around Christmas. And, you know, we don't sing Away in the Manger that is full of flea bites and itchy hay and maybe some, you know, manure. We make it all romantic. So the purpose of that movie is just to strip away all of the varnish that we've coated Jesus up in, and presenting him as real as if he were today.
I just want to remind listeners that, just in case they're tuning in a little bit later, but we are talking with Bill Myers, somebody who has been in the industry. When did you start, Bill? When was your first big break? I mean, after the Bombs television show.
Oh, when was that? Probably the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe the early 80s. Bill Myers has been impacting families. You've worked really close with Focus on the Family as well, and done a lot of voiceover. So some people might recognize your voice. What voices have you done?
Oh, gracious me.
What was your favorite one?
Well, my favorite, again, you'll talk about not being qualified. My favorite was when they asked me to do the voice of Jesus in the NIV audio Bible. And that freaked me out so much that the first thing I did was came down with laryngitis. And they had to tape everybody around me because I couldn't talk at all. And after about 6 weeks of that, I came into the studio. And God's wonderful, wonderful private tutoring session with each one of us. He knew that, you know, if I went around swaggering going, yeah, well, you know, I was the voice of Jesus, there'd be issues. So it's probably the worst, quote, performance of my life. I'm the only one that knows that. Hopefully it's not there on the tapes, but it's like just enough. So, you know, Bill, I let you play me, and I know that was exciting, but you know what? You're not going to get to brag about it.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that was the most exciting. We've done a lot of Adventures in Odyssey. In fact, we have a new kid book series that's just come out based on some of the characters that I've created for them. So Adventures in Odyssey is fun because you sit around in a circle and you look at your other actors, and you don't have to wash your hair. You don't even have to dress up. You just show up and have fun we do 2 shows a day. And so those are a lot of fun, too, because you don't have to do anything except be relaxed and listen to the other actors.
Well, and some of those actors, I mean, if you grew up and you parented during those Adventures in Odyssey years, I know for us, we used to gauge car trips for how long. It would be like, we'll be there in 2 more Odysseys. So everything was measured in Odyssey mileage, I guess, is what we would call it. And so, I mean, you really did see Connie Kendall grow up and Eugene stop being quite so awkward. And so you felt like as you were raising your family, you were watching them be raised up too. So it's fun to hear voices and be like, wait a second, that sounds so familiar. But
I was standing in line one time at a bookstore and talking to somebody, and a person turns around to me and goes, Jesus? No, but I'm sure a lot of people make that mistake. No, I thought that was really funny that they recognized the voice.
Yeah, and then you're like, no, I'm just Bill Myers.
But a lot of people get us mixed up.
Yeah. Don't ask me to split your sandwich for you.
Yeah, that's right. Is that just water in your glass there? Well, okay, we can fix that if you'd like.
His mom's like, no, he's under 21.
That's right.
So, okay, well, one of the things I really appreciate about you, Bill, is that you're not just a writer. You really are a gifted storyteller. And when I was writing this out, it came up storyfeller. And so I think I'm just going to call you that now, our favorite storyfeller. And because that sounds good and Southern to me. So, Shelley, we're just about ready to wrap this up. Do you have any last-minute questions or comments you want to ask Bill?
I'm just excited. Bill will be back in Mount Hermon next year, and I'm just looking forward to his new message and a little scared because we're here because of his message this year.
Yes. So, yes.
Yeah.
So the Vision Christian Writers Conference is just getting opened for starting to have registration. Let me get my dentures in here. Registration. And I'm also on staff, so I'm looking forward to being there as well. It's a beautiful spot there in the Redwoods. And it was a place where we've met a lot of our favorite friends, our favorite authors. So thank you so much, Bill, for joining us. And we have really, really enjoyed just getting to hear what you've had to say, getting to see all the ways that God has just opened doors because of your yeses. And then also, Shelley and I are kind of excited as well because this is a big yes for us to be on the air now. And like I said, we just kind of channeled our inner, what would Bill do? And when we decided...
I didn't know I had to get up at 5 a.m. when I signed up for this.
That's okay. I thought Shelley knew what she was doing when she asked. So
I have
knew
to,
so thanks.
I have to
Go ahead.
I have to laugh just the idea of saying yes. Imagine if you had talent. I'm talking to myself. If you had talent and you said yes, where you would go. But
yeah,
he works with what he's got.
That's right. It's just the humble few that he just takes and makes something great. So thanks for tuning in to the Biscuit Book Club. We'll be back next week with more guests, books, stories, and biscuits.
Thank you, Bill.
Until then.
Thank you for listening to today's Biscuit Book Club with Marcy and Shelley. Be listening next week at the same time for great encouragement and a challenge for what God has for your life on the Biscuit Book Club on Joy 620 WRJZ.